Matthew 15, verses 1 through 9. Then the scribes and Pharisees who were from Jerusalem came to Jesus, saying, "Why do your disciples transgress the tradition of the elders? For they do not wash their hands when they eat bread." Jesus answered and said to them, "Why do you also transgress the commandment of God because of your tradition? For God commanded, saying, 'Honor your father and your mother, and he who curses father or mother, let him be put to death.' But you say, whoever says to his father or mother, 'Whatever profit you might have received from me is a gift to God,' then he need not honor his father or mother. Thus you have made the commandment of God of no effect by your tradition. Hypocrites! Well did Isaiah prophesy about you, saying, 'These people draw near to me with their mouth and honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me, and in vain they worship me, teaching as doctrines the commandments of men.'" In the reading today, I was encouraged and challenged to look into my heart. Why am I doing the things that I'm doing? And in what ways do I try to justify my actions when they're counter to what God requires? Malachi says, "What does the Lord require but that we love justice, we walk humbly, and we love mercy?" So in these ideas that Jesus is challenging them with their question, he goes on to say that it's not what comes into a man that defiles him, but what comes out of the man, because what comes out of the mouth is from the heart. And so the reasons why we do and say the things that we do is from the heart. And so as we believe in the heart, so we are. If we love charity, then it's got to be from a place of heart. In the New Testament, it says that we give not begrudgingly, but as each one has decided in his heart, we give. So the Pharisees and scribes are being legalistic because of the tradition of the elders was to wash, purification, before eating or touching or handling any type of food. If you didn't, then because your hands were dirty and now you're ingesting these things, it makes you dirty. Jesus is saying, wait a second, that's not the case. That is a tradition of man. But what he challenges them, there's this Jewish tradition called tzedakah, and it is the charity. It is justice in action. It's righteousness. Okay, this is as a child grows up and parents get older. It is Jewish tradition that the child would provide for the needs of their elderly, their mother and father, if they were still alive. If they started to get to a point where they could not do for themselves, tzedakah says and was taught that, okay, the child is going to provide for them. Now, that could be financially, physically, spiritually, whatever the parents needed, the child was supposed to step in and do these things, okay? As they became Pharisees and they came across money, they came across position, title, they could then say, because of their spiritual title and position, well, we're honoring God with our profits. We're honoring God with our revenue. So because I'm gifting these things to the temple, or because I'm gifting these things unto God as a gift to God, I don't then have to tzedakah. I don't have to give to my parent, because it's better for me to give to God than it is to, because I'm giving all these things to God. So Jesus is really calling out their hypocrisy. Okay, you're saying that this thing that my disciples aren't doing is making them unclean, but you yourself are unclean because you're giving to God the things in which is dishonoring to your parents. Because you dishonor your parents first, you come with me a gift, you say it is a gift to God, is dishonoring to God. Okay. He says, "Why do you also transgress," verse 3, "transgress the commandment of God because of your tradition?" That tradition was tzedakah. "For God commanded, saying, 'Honor your father and your mother.'" Now that was the commandment of God. "And he who curses father or mother, let him be put to death." That was Old Testament. That was Moses. Moses said if any unruly child dishonors their father or mother, put that child to death so that the fear of God would be amongst the camp. And ultimately, what would that do? It would cause the children to actually not. They would think twice before rebelling. Look at Eli, the high priest, and his two sons, who were high priests, all that were priests, and they dishonored the temple of God. He did not rebuke his sons. He should have killed his sons by the law of Moses, but he didn't. Okay, verse 5, but you say, whoever says to his father or mother, whatever profit you might have received from me is a gift from God, then he need not honor his mother or his father. So these things that they would receive, they didn't have to give. They could just say. They could say with their mouth because it was in their heart, greed. They could say that I don't have to uphold tzedakah because of their mouth. It is a gift of God, but what was coming out of their mouth was in their heart, and that's what defiled them. Thus you have made the commandment of God to honor your mother and father of no effect by your tradition. Hypocrites. Well said. Isaiah prophesied about you, saying, these people draw near to me, and this is the challenge and the encouragement at the same time. These people draw near to me with their mouth and honor me with their lips, but their heart is far from me, and in vain they worship me, teaching as doctrines the commandments of men. Not the commandments of God, but the commandments of men. And to this day, it is good to build your wealth and your income. It is good. We say that it is good to have money in your bank account. It is good if you sacrifice not doing these things so that you could do these things. It is good when we sacrifice. But in Scripture, it says better is obedience than sacrifice. So today, what are we honoring God in with our mouths, but our heart is contrary? How are we saying that, Lord, this is to worship you, but is contrary to the action of the heart? Then how are we even looking into our heart and asking the Lord to search our heart, to bring out any discrepancies in our heart that's counter to proper worship that God requires? God requires, what did Paul say? Without love, you can have millions of dollars. You can have 1,000 tongues. You can prophesy better than anybody else prophesies. But if you have not love, and that word charity, then it is meaningless. It is pointless. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. And the commandment that is like it is to love your neighbor as yourself. Without charity, all of the things of this world are pointless, are meaningless. So be encouraged today. Prayerfully, we can seek after God. We can ask Him to reveal things in our heart. And we need to walk in a way that is pleasing in the sight of Christ. Be careful what we say out loud. There's power to speak life and death is in your tongue. Everything that you speak out loud, it comes from the inside. So when we hear ourselves speak these things, we have to be careful what it is that we say and how we say the things that we say, whether it's audible or even on the inside of us. As a man thinks, as mankind, as she thinks, as we think, so we are. So what's on the inside today? What are you telling yourself? And then how are your actions matching up to what you're telling yourself? Do you say you have faith, but yet you worry and have anxiety on every side of every coin, of every situation and circumstance that you find yourself in? Do you say you have love, and so you give, but you give with a reluctant heart? That's not a proper worship to God. Do we say that we love you, Lord, and will follow you to the end like Peter did at the start, and then only to deny him later on when pressed or challenged? This is the call, not to be hypocrites, but to truly search your heart, to give God the proper worship. Give God the proper worship that He deserves. And that is worship from a pure and undefiled heart. It makes me think of Matthew 5. And it says in verse 8, "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God." Be purified today. Y'all have a blessed day.